Hey guys, I've got Kimmy here from the Fit Mummy Project. Hey Kimmy.
Hello, how are you?
Good. And we're chatting about pregnancy and exercise. So I know that for some, you all of a sudden you're falling pregnant, you're reading up on all of this information around what you should and shouldn't be doing. But I know for myself, I certainly felt this urge to all of a sudden start exercising to make sure that I was prepared for the birth. But I know that that's not always recommended to go jumping into certain exercises. So I'd love to hear a little bit more from yourself around what you can actually or should actually be doing.
Yeah, so pregnancy is this really wonderful time where suddenly you want to take the best care of yourself possible, and I really support that. If you haven't been exercising a lot prior to falling pregnant, then maybe don't launch into something like boot camp, but Pilates, especially prenatal Pilates, some prenatal yoga classes, walking, swimming are all wonderful exercises that you can start with. And then as your confidence builds and your pregnancy progresses, in the second trimester, we can really start to focus on a lot of strength work then.
And it's interesting what you say about doing specific classes, prenatal classes, because I know I have heard horror stories around people going to the gym and just participating in usual exercise around someone that potentially doesn't know how to work with somebody that is pregnant. Is it important to make sure that you guide it in the right way around certain techniques, I guess?
Yeah, so when you're pregnant, we're not injured, we're not sick, but we do have special needs.
Okay.
So we don't want to wrap ourselves in cotton wool. Pregnancy and carrying that baby is really physically demanding, and motherhood's really physically demanding. So we want to prepare for that with strength and Pilates and pelvic floor and core exercises. But we want to avoid crunching movements, anything that sort of compresses the uterus. So twisting in yoga, we want to avoid overheating.
Okay.
So Bikram, spas, saunas, anything that really gets our temperature up, because the baby can't sweat. We release heat through sweat, the baby can't. And we want to avoid, especially from the second trimester on, movements that go from like really high to low, like burpees. So
Oh yeah, no burpees. I don't think I was
yeah, I know,
burpees.
but our blood pressure drops, and just sometimes for some women, just getting up off the chair will make you feel really faint. So but I always advocate for all women during pregnancy, really start to tune into your body, listen to what it needs. Every day feels different, so really work with the energy of how you're feeling.
So if you're having a morning sickness or whatever, could probably hinder some people's experience with exercise.
Morning sickness, you'll be like, don't even talk to me about exercise. The thing I found really helpful, I had really bad morning sickness for all three pregnancies, was just morning sickness for yoga postures that sort of lift the weight of the diaphragm, help to create that deep belly breathing.
Okay.
You might notice if you're suffering from morning sickness, you feel sicker when you're more stressed.
Yes.
So just creating that parasympathetic nervous system reaction, or I guess diving into that system, lifting the weight of the diaphragm up off the belly just to give yourself a bit of a rest can really help.
That's a good tip. I didn't personally have morning sickness, but I know it can be quite debilitating, and it's like important to know what you can do, because I think breathing, like you say, fixes a lot of things.
It does. And sometimes just little bits of movement, just getting outside, help make such a shift in how you're feeling. Yeah.
And going back to exercise when you are pregnant through the different stages, I know that we get told, not to lay directly on the back as well during certain stages. Is that something that we should be doing from the very beginning, or as the baby gets bigger and it's pushing on that?
Yeah, probably around 16 weeks, the way the uterus can compress the vena cava, vena cava. So experts recommend from about 16 weeks, maybe just propping something to support the hips and pelvis, just lifting the weight of the uterus off that vein. But it's so different for women, so you can check with your doctor, your GP obstetrician, and if you feel safe and you're just lying on your back to do some hip lifts or something, if you're only there for a few minutes, it should be okay. It's just that extended lying on your back that's sort of recommended to avoid.
It's not laying on the back and doing weights.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just there for 2 or 3 minutes, for most women, that's okay, but every woman is different. So check in with your doctor or your health team. Yeah.
And at what point should you stop exercising during pregnancy? Is there a safe zone or
a cut-off mark? No. So again, really listen to how you're feeling, but I really recommend that women exercise all the way up, and it will change, and the intensity will drop off, and it will become more about creating space through your body, internal strength. So I like to focus on stability and mobility as we progress towards birth, But also we start to do those really beautiful yogic opening exercises to allow for the birth of the baby. Birth is a lot about letting go. Physically and emotionally, so we start to prepare the body in that way to open and expand, and that's whether you're having a vaginal birth or your planned C-section. You just want to really start get yourself into that mental state of allowing this baby to be birthed into the world.
I love that. I think not feeling like there is a cutoff, that it just transitions to that next phase, because it's constantly changing. And
also like pregnancy is almost your prehab for your postpartum rehab. So the stronger and more functional pelvic floor is, so it can contract and lift but also release, and the more you know how to engage that deep core and pelvic floor during pregnancy, the easier your postpartum recovery will be.
So important. I really love those tips. Thank you so much, Kimmy.
No worries, thank you.
Don't be afraid, and I know that Kimmy has some wonderful videos to help guide you through pregnancy and postpartum, of course, as well, and they're really simple. I love that they're easy to do at home, easy to follow, so jump on and take a look. Thanks, Kimmy.
Thank you.